We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Is this dude's name seriously Brain?
Oh, I'm sure it's Brian. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Because if
notice
it was
that.
Brain, then he has to have a friend named... I'm calling him Brain. All right. It could be Brian A, but I'm going with Brain.
I
All
want you
right.
to guess how many diagrams Brian
I'm
has.
guessing 3. Is it 3?
There was no typo
It's 5.
made. There was no typo made in the description of diagram singular. So
7. Is it 7? 7 pictures. I think there's 7.
Ah, dear.
Brain has a number of pictures between 0 and 10.
Okay, sorry, Brian. We are not laughing at you. We're cracking ourselves up. I don't want to get angry letters that we're laughing at Brain.
You just got a nickname, dude. Hate to
You
break
did.
it to you. You're a Brain. Everybody's like, there's at least 3 or 4 listeners right now who are like, are you kidding me? I've been asking for a nickname forever.
It's true.
It is so true.
It has to happen organically.
It's got to just happen, Brain. Now, Brain is having... It's getting very hot in this room because I don't have my fan on. All right, let me move. I'm moving. This is the nice thing about not having the video on. I'm changing to a cooler chair, a chair that has not been warmed by my bottom.
What you get instead of good sound quality, folks.
That's what you get. All right, Brain is having a new house built. There will not be a dedicated theater, but he would like to do what he can with his great room. It's roughly 15 by 13 with an 11-foot ceiling, but it would be completely open to the dining room, kitchen, stairwell, back of the house, pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah.
So again, once 15 by 13, it's only the place where he'll be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it is
And
whole house.
11-foot ceilings. So.
No, dude. The gear budget will ideally be at $5,000 or under. Now, what is this gear for? Does this include like TV and screen
This
and
is
everything?
A projection setup and surround sound, all for $5,000 or under. That's the hope. Now, I'm gonna say you go with 5.1 and you leave it there for the sound because otherwise you're
gonna run out of money pretty fast. And not only that. If you said that I want to pressurize this space with my subwoofers and my budget is $5,000 or under, I'd be like, we could probably
I will say with this much space and it's kind of irregularly shaped, you're probably gonna be okay with one sub. You know, like even in terms of uniformity, because it's just going everywhere. That sound is going everywhere and escaping out the back of your house. So
and the loudest space will be in your bathroom. All right, he'd like to have a projection set up. He's never home when the sun is out, so light will not be an issue. But is the room too small for a projector? There is no such thing as a room too small for a projector. You just have to try hard enough. So, is there an image here? There is an image here.
There is, yeah. Now I'm thinking, you know, like for the space that he's using as his theater space. Now, the image being shown is like the promotional thing, right? So it's not necessarily going to be configured that way. So figuring out where the screen should go would be priority number 1.
Well, it's on this bottom left side, right? Is that the... Can I zoom on this? I can't.
It is. It's a sorry for the size of the image, but that's what we have. But it's sort of like on the left wall, because it's the very bottom is the space that he's using. So on the left wall, you've got what looks like a wall with 2 windows on either side of it. And I'm thinking that might be, like, symmetrically, just looks-wise, the best place to go, as opposed to where it's shown there's sort of a shorter wall over to the right side. I don't think that would be a great place to set things up. The other option would be, like, a roll-down screen that goes in front of the main window, the very bottom of the image. You certainly wouldn't want a fixed-frame screen over that. But then, given what he wants to do with speakers, that's going to be a real challenge. So I'm kind of thinking the wall that has the 2 windows on either side. Now, I don't know the exact width of that wall, but I'm thinking you're going to be sitting somewhere in the vicinity of, I'm going to guess, 12 feet away from this screen, which would mean 135 inches would be really, really nice. That's 120 inches wide. That's 10 feet wide. I don't know if that wall in between those 2 windows is 10 feet wide, but if it isn't, that's fine. Maybe you go to a slightly smaller screen and sit a little bit closer. So I think this is doable. That's my opinion anyway.
All right, I'm not understanding what you're saying here. So
Right.
if we're looking at this image here, the
Yes.
left wall would be at the very bottom on the left. So wherever those round trees are, things not
Correct.
down there, but to the left of that would be where you would put the screen and you put the couch on the wall or pretty close to the wall. That looks like it goes out to the porch. Is that what that little angly thing is right there?
Yeah, there's the sort of angly wall there. So yeah, there's so we're looking at the very bottom of the image. At the very, very bottom, there's what looks like a large picture window. Then on the left side, there's a wall with windows on either side of it, and to the right side,
I don't
there's
know.
this
I like
shorter
the idea of having a roll down screen
in front of the big picture window.
The front of the picture window. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like that. I think that could. I mean, I don't know what it's going to do for speakers and stuff like that. But I
Yeah,
don't really care about
what he
that.
wanted to do with speakers. I'm trying to. Come up with
We
something
haven't
that'll
gotten
work.
there yet
Yeah,
because
that's right.
you're jumping ahead. here.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, uh, so will the room be too small for a projector? No.
No.
Since the entire first floor is an open plan with a great room, open the dining room and kitchen are his options for surround sound limited by only having 3 walls. Like to go with a combination of in-wall and in-ceiling speakers.
Yeah.
His only experience up to now has been soundbar, so anything will be an upgrade. What are our thoughts? Well, there's lots you can do in walls, especially or in ceilings, especially for stuff. But as you will hear in our interview with Gary Yakubian of SV Sound, you can mount their elevation speakers on the ceiling. You need
Sure.
a bolt, which I will be looking to explain more to you guys about once I figure this out. I get these things. You need a bolt to hold it in place, but you can use those as on walls on the ceiling. You may not want that. That's
Sure.
fine. But you can do that. You can actually put them above your screen. You know, all 3 of them above your screen, kind of pointed down towards you.
Oh,
You
I
can
see.
put them under, you know what I mean,
right,
across
yeah.
across the ceiling there, which would make that front wall completely viable because very few windows are floor to
Right.
ceiling. You should have at least, what is it, like 6 inches or so
Well, the
to
only
stick
issue
the
here though
elevation
is
speakers on.
11-foot ceilings. So there's no way you're putting them actually 11 feet high on the ceiling.
That's true. They will
That-
be coming. That is true.
Yeah.
They might look a little goofy that way.
I'm thinking
But-
they're going to need to be front wall, but that is a good solution regardless because let's say he did go with my idea of putting it on that left wall, he could still have prime elevation speakers, angled speakers that are mounted on that wall above the screen and angled down towards his seat. That could work as opposed to in walls if he's amenable to that idea.
And the same thing for the surround speakers as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Uh,
Those could go
because
on
they're
the ceiling.
angled. They
Yeah.
could go on the ceiling as well. So
So
you could do actually prime elevation all the way around if
That's
you
true.
really tried.
and that would be very reasonable within the type of budget that he's looking at.
Yeah, they're like $200 a pop, right? So
Yeah.
we're looking at like $1,000 just for those speakers.
Yeah.
And you need a sub. You get one from SVS. You're gonna
Receiver
look
and a
at,
projector and a screen. So it's
yeah, the 135-inch screen is going to send you back, dude.
but that can be silver tickets, so it doesn't have to be insane. Yeah. Now, if you do want to go in walls, I was going to suggest to you HSU Research. So we mostly talk about them for subwoofers, but they do have in-wall speakers as well. And what I like about them is they're efficient and they're horn-loaded. And I think you need that in this room. I think you need something that's a little bit more directional. I think you need something that can play darn loud, and it is able to accept a lot of power and play loud without a lot of power going into it. I think you're going to need that in a room that's just going to gobble up everything like this size of room is. So I kind of like a horn-loaded solution for this, and HSU's a very
I don't
affordable-
disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that, especially if you think, but he says he's never home except at night, which is kind of vampiric, but whatever. So, Brain the Vampire, is that what we're going with here? Anyways,
Man.
he all the
He's
nicknames.
getting all the nicknames.
But if you're like me, I like to have background music going, and if I'm in a room like this, I might turn on the music and listen to it in another part of the house.
True. Yeah.
In which case, those horn-loaded speakers would be really nice to do that with, to really get some, sound that would actually fill up your entire space. Now, it would be awfully loud in your home theater when you got in there, but you could probably hear it all the way back into the dining room and kitchen and all that stuff back there. So I don't disagree with that. Okay, so anyways, he'll have to make an appointment with the builder slash the builder vendor to discuss pre-wiring, and they likely want to sell him all of the equipment as well. I'm sure they will.
Mhm.
But given that the house won't be completed for another 10 months, should he only have the pre-wiring done now and choose the equipment later? It doesn't seem to make sense to pay for equipment now that he won't use for nearly a year. And with that much time, new stuff will be available and prices of current gear will likely be lower. Do we have any suggestions on how to proceed? Um, for your screen, for your projector, and for
Uh-huh.
your receiver, I completely agree that you should wait to purchase it
Yep.
because those things change constantly. Speakers, on the other hand, I can make the case that you should get them while the getting's good.
Yeah, and a lot of
Uh,
places are doing sales right now for holiday sales. So,
they are, but on top of that as well, there is this uh, there are manufacturers like Emotiva and
hmm
theoretically SVS and other companies that will bring out a speaker that you're really hot on. You're like, I'll just wait, and once, the new models come out or whatever, blah, blah, and they're just like, okay, well, we're done selling those speakers. We're not selling them anymore.
right.
And you're like, oh, wait, I was going to buy it, and now you can't find them. Okay. So, in speakers, unlike receivers and Blu-ray players and video game consoles, they don't really need to be upgraded that much. I
Mm.
mean, you can, and I'm certainly willing to help you try, but a good speaker is a good speaker. A good speaker that today will be a good speaker 5 years from now. Will there be better speakers out 5 years from now? Probably, but guess what? There's better speakers out right now. So, you can always find better speakers, but they don't go quote unquote obsolete for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
So you can feel, pretty comfortable purchasing speakers now, and to a large extent, I would say subwoofers as well.
Yeah. Now, I mean, my suggestion on how to proceed here is determine where you want to put your screen, which will then, of course, tell you where your front speakers are going to go. To me, I think
You
there's,
need to be walking through a model house, dude. Honestly,
yeah,
you need to be physically in this space and look at it and measure things out and figure out if things are going to work
yeah. Because, I mean, there
for
is
you.
one more alternative, which is let's say he does go with a roll down screen in front of the large picture window at the very bottom. Maybe you just go for some very nice looking speakers like the EMP Techs, right? You have some EMP Tech towers up front. They look gorgeous. So, they're not going to be an eyesore when they're there in front of your window. So that's another option. That's another way to go. So to me, the most important thing, because his last question is just anything else that he should consider. To me, it all depends on figuring out where that screen is going to go. If it's going to go on that left wall, on that picture window wall, someplace else that we haven't suggested. And then you can determine, okay, that means I'm going to get an acoustically transparent screen. I'm going to go with in-wall speakers that are behind the screen, or I'm going to get a roll-down screen. I'm going to have, freestanding speakers
Yeah.
to either side. That is what determines it, and only you can decide for yourself what you're going to prefer on that one. But
Yeah, you need, and I would really, I mean, it doesn't have to be this way, but I would highly recommend considering a roll down screen. And I know it'll cost a lot more. I know
yeah,
it'll up your budget by
especially you're going
probably,
to have a massive drop with an 11-foot ceiling. That's the
yeah,
problem.
11, 11, a 135-inch screen is going to be, probably another $1,000,
Yeah.
if not more, on top of the budget that you're currently. But you have a couple of freestanding speakers that are sort of kind of out wide, flanking that front window there, right? You have, some furniture up there underneath the window, or, maybe you don't. Maybe you just have nothing up there. You don't have a center channel at all. You have your couch kind of facing that window, some surround speakers in the ceiling or maybe in the walls or however you end up doing it, depending on where you're going to sit. And it just looks like a room.
Yep.
It just looks like a room, and you have some speakers in there. You have a little box or maybe something in the corner that's built into the wall that has your equipment in it, and people just look at it like it's a room. You press a button, zzz, comes down.
hmm
The resale value of the house will not be changed. And believe me, putting a huge projection screen on the wall and suddenly this whole space becomes a thing,
Right. Yeah.
it makes people look at it completely differently.
That's true.
Not only that, if you have a little component cabinet up front with a reasonable sized TV on it, people see that and think it's a TV, and it's still no big deal. And then you lower the screen, and it's really quite worth the wow factor that gives you. So I would at least consider that, Brain.
Yeah. Brain. The last thing I would say is there was absolutely nothing wrong with getting yourself a pair of those Monoprice in-ceiling Caliber series speakers as your 2 surround speakers to go up in the ceiling.
Yeah.
I would pair those up with some EMP Tek towers. I would pair those up with the HSU in-wall front speakers. I'd pair them up with the Prime Elevation speakers. I'd have no beef doing that as your surround speakers, so that's a great way to potentially save some money. In your case, with such a large room, I might actually recommend going for the 8-inch ones. Not so much even for their output, but just for their power handling. I think that might be a good idea. But that would be a great way to save some money on at least 2 out of the 5 speakers.
Yeah.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.